Voice of Indonesia.
Well, listeners and viewers of Voice of Indonesia, today here in our studio we have Sri Lankan Ambassador to Indonesia, His Excellency Jayanath Colombage, to discuss about the Indonesia and Sri Lanka cooperation. Well, Ambassador Jayanath Colombage, as we know that Indonesian President Joko Widodo met with the President of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka, Ranil Wickremesinghe, at the China World Hotel in Beijing last year. And they discussed increasing cooperation in various fields, including Sri Lanka's desire to form a preferential trade agreement with Indonesia. Now, how far has the discussion on this issue has gone, and how is the discussion mechanism carried out until today? And also, how long do you think this discussion, conversation on this issue will complete and get an agreement on this? Yes.
Well, thank you for having me here with your great radio. As you said, the two leaders met in China and they had a very cordial and productive discussion. And the President of Sri Lanka is very keen on developing ties with ASEAN and especially with Indonesia. And he has been always telling that Indonesia and Sri Lanka are maritime neighbors. Because if you look across the ocean, the Bay of Bengal, Sri Lanka would see Indonesia and vice versa. And we were actually linked through trade in the ancient Silk Route, ancient Spice Route. We were quite linked. But somehow that link was broken, especially during the colonial period where you were under the Dutch and we were under the British. But it's high time that we revive our trade between the two countries bilaterally and as a region through ASEAN, because ASEAN is a very powerful regional bloc, and Sri Lanka has realized that we need to work more closely with Indonesia and as a gateway to ASEAN. And I'm very happy to say that the preferential trade agreement, the official ministerial launch, should take place on the 20th of this month, right? That is the officially starting the negotiation for the preferential trade agreement. And thereafter, the two sides, of course, we have already started working. We need to identify at least 100 items where we can trade. Because right now there is trade, but at a very low level. It's not deserving the population. You know, Indonesia is having a big population of 275 million people. That's a huge market. And Sri Lanka is a small country with 22 million population, and we can benefit from each other, right? We can benefit from each other by trade. Of course, there are other links as well, but trade, I think, is in today's global context, trade is critically important because economy is important.
Yes.
So if we can mutually benefit through our economic and trade cooperation, that is the best. So we wish that, our mission, our embassy here is fully supportive of this venture, and we want to really achieve results, not just talk and talk and talk for years and years, but with some tangible results within a limited time frame. And I'm happy to hear, as I said, 20th this month, February, the two ministers should declare that they have embarked on negotiation to achieve a preferential trade agreement. But the beauty of it, the most important thing is, we should not stop it at that.
Yes.
We should lead this preferential trade agreement to a free trade agreement.
Yep.
So that we both economies can benefit better.
Yes. As you said, Your Excellency, that the declaration will be on 20th of this month or February. So where will this declaration take place? Here in Jakarta, or should be in Colombo?
I think it will be done virtually. Because you see, you are having a very busy period right now.
Yes.
So the ministers are not very free to travel to each other. So the initial declaration will be done virtually, online.
Yes. So as you mentioned that it will not be stopped just on the preferential trade agreement, but there should be progress put forward to free trade
Yes.
agreement. But let's talk about this agreement. What are the opportunities for increasing the trade cooperation between the two countries if, just say, this preferential trade agreement realized?
Yeah, because right now, if you look at the trade between two countries, and we have exported only about 43 million US dollar worth merchandise to Indonesia, but we have imported like 343 million US dollar worth items from Indonesia to Sri Lanka. So I think given the potential of the economic power or economic development of especially Indonesia, I think we can target much higher. So this is very minimal, I think. Bilateral trade, 40 million is not a big amount at all. So we need to really identify what you need, what Indonesia need, and what do we have in Sri Lanka, what do you need in Indonesia, and vice versa. What do you have? Because Indonesia, we know, is very rich in many natural resources, whether it is coal, whether it is palm oil, whether it is vegetables, whether it is fruits. There are various grains, right? So, and even nickel. So you are very rich in natural resources. But then on the other hand, Sri Lanka has its own unique products like black tea. The best black tea in the world is from Sri Lanka. And the real cinnamon, because cinnamon, the best cinnamon in the whole world is in Sri Lanka, because Sri Lanka is the only country which is having geographical identification certificate issued by the European Union for cinnamon. So these are the things that we need to identify. What are we going to trade? We can't just say we are going to trade unless we identify items. And then we have an agreement that would give an opportunity for the traders. Because you see, governments cannot really do trade. Governments can only facilitate the trade. Government can lay the policies and make a platform to trade. And thereafter, the private sector, the traders have to take charge.
Yes.
Right? So we have to do that part initially. And I think now we are very sincerely, actually, I have to say that I am sorry to say that this kind of negotiations or discussion on a PTA has been going on for a long time before, but nothing came out because I don't think Sri Lanka was that interested in getting into a PTA before, because our main export markets were USA, European Union, Russia, right? But now President has changed that. He has said, look east for more economic integration, and that means Indonesia, and that means ASEAN, right? So now we have a renewed focus. Now we have a better platform to move forward, and we should not miss this opportunity.
Yes. Your Excellency, as you mentioned before that the items should be identified. There should be identification what the Sri Lanka have, what Indonesia has, and what Sri Lanka needs, and what Indonesia needs. So, but in my question is, since the declaration will be 20th of February this year, it just counts just say 10 days, okay?
Yeah.
So how is the progress of this identification of the items?
Well, actually, we just signed a preferential trade agreement with Thailand day before yesterday. Okay. And that was our focus at that time. Now that is done, and now we are going to focus on the preferential trade agreement with Indonesia. So President is very keen that we achieve some tangible milestone during the year 2024. Right? So we can't wait longer and keep on negotiating. So he has actually set up a special office in his office to deal with preferential trade agreements and free trade agreement. We never had that kind of a thing earlier. It was given to the trade ministry. Trade ministry would take their own time. But now President is directly supervising and monitoring this office in his office.
Oh.
Right? So that is why I am very optimistic that this time it should move forward very fast as they can.
Yes, so it seems the President is focused on this.
Very much focus on this, very much focus on Indonesia, and very much focus on ASEAN.
Yes, thank you, Your Excellency. And as we know that during the meeting between the two head of states, the Indonesian President Joko Widodo also hoped that the Sri Lanka could provide support in lifting the ban on palm oil imports, and also suggested the establishment of a special mechanism to reopen access to the Indonesian palm oil market in Sri Lanka. So the question is, what is the follow-up to the President Joko Widodo's hopes or proposals, and what are the challenges?
Yeah, you see, Sri Lanka used to import palm oil from Indonesia. Sri Lanka even started its own palm oil cultivation in Sri Lanka. But then I think we were caught up with this negative attitude towards palm oil, especially coming from European Union, right? So, and finally, unfortunately, Sri Lanka made a decision that, okay, we would not continue to import palm oil, and we would not continue to grow palm cultivation in Sri Lanka. But that actually coincided in 2020-2022 period with the economic situation in Sri Lanka. Now, Sri Lanka was compelled to restrict practically all imports to the country, and palm oil also became a victim of that system. But now, but you're absolutely right. When the two presidents met in Beijing and they discussed about it, and our president promised, and that renewal of the restriction is right now being discussed. And of course, when my foreign minister came and met Indonesian foreign minister, when he came for the ASEAN regional forum, this topic was discussed. And he also said that we are renegotiating, we are re-evaluating re-import of palm oil, because, we were caught up in this global competition, palm oil versus some other vegetable oil from other countries or other regions. So I have a feeling, I do not know exactly where it is right now, but it should be lifted very soon, and thereafter palm oil exports can take place to Sri Lanka, and Sri Lanka will continue to grow palm trees.
Yes, hope so.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Yeah, we just wait the time for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. On that occasion, the two head of states, the two leaders also discussed blue economy. As you mentioned before, that Indonesia and Sri Lanka lies on, among oceans. Now, this is related to the blue economic cooperation. So how does Sri Lanka see the potential in this sector, and what are the opportunities for the two countries to realize the cooperation on this blue economy?
Yeah, as I said, if you look at Indonesia and Sri Lanka, the most common denominator is the ocean, because Sri Lanka is an island nation. Indonesia is an archipelago nation. It's a huge island, but span over from the Indian Ocean to the Western Pacific. It's a large country, right? But you see, when you talk about blue economy, this is not something that we all have really benefited yet. It is kind of a new venture, a new approach to develop our economies by utilizing resources from the ocean. Now, if you look at a broad definition of blue economy, sustainable exploitation of ocean resources. Now, our future, Sri Lanka's future economic activity and Indonesia's future economic activity will lie in the ocean, right? And Indonesia has taken a lot of initiatives in ASEAN to progress with the blue economy, right? So blue economy has a lot of potential. There will be new industries coming. There will be new technology being adapted. There will be new region for looking for medicine, blue biotechnology, blue biomedicine, right? So I think the ocean has huge potential to benefit our countries. Since we are bonded by the ocean, whatever we do wrong to the ocean in the Indian Ocean could impact Indonesia. And if you do something bad here, would impact the entire region. So therefore, we have a common responsibility to protect the health of ocean. We are polluting the ocean every day by dumping plastic, by dumping pesticide, by dumping fertilizer, and many other things. But we need to work together to prevent that. And also, there is another thing. When we have a common voice, we have a more stronger voice.
Yes.
Rather than fighting in this global scenario to protect the ocean environment individually, but if we have a combined voice, our voice will be heard. Our voice will be more powerful. So that is, I think, we need collaboration. And Indonesia has said through ASEAN that in blue economy, they would like to collaborate with the Bay of Bengal.
Yes.
Bay of Bengal is your neighborhood. I mean, Sumatra is part of the Indian Ocean, right? So we know Bay of Bengal is the biggest bay in the whole world. So we really need to collaborate in harnessing the resources from the ocean in a mutually beneficial way. And we need to share our best practices, because one country may be good at coral farming, other country may be good at mangrove planting. So we need to share, okay, how can we benefit? And we need to embark, especially in blue economy, joint research, joint study programs, and joint innovations. And therefore, we can then benefit mutually to each other. So it's a new area, and we need to focus. And I'm very happy to say that Sri Lanka and Indonesia has agreed to develop a maritime dialogue, to have a dialogue about ocean affairs, and blue economy is one major pillar of that dialogue.
Yes. And Your Excellency, do you think that all the world, the global community already has the same perspective about repenting our ocean?
Well, you see, if you look at the global warming, climate change, ocean is one major reason, because ocean produce 50% of carbon, oxygen we breathe. Ocean produce 50% of oxygen we breathe. Ocean absorb 40% of carbon dioxide we produce.
Yes.
And ocean absorb 90% of the heat coming from the sun. So if the health of the ocean is disturbed, definitely we suffer, right? So therefore, we have a responsibility for the sake of us, for the sake of future generations, to protect this ocean. And therefore, we don't have a choice. Protecting oceans is not a choice. It is a duty incumbent upon us. We have to do it, right? So we have to do it, but collectively. Because individually it's difficult to do something as big as an ocean. We need to develop, design, collectively work together. And that is the way forward in protecting the ocean. And by doing so, we will protect our environment, we will prevent or minimize the climate change, global temperatures rising. So we have to do it today and not tomorrow.
Yes, so we need a collective effort to do
course,
this.
yeah.
Yes. Yes, apart from the economic and trade sectors, what is the potential for cooperation between the two countries in the fields of education, culture, and tourism? As you know, Your Excellency, Indonesia, actually not only Indonesia, maybe the world is, supporting their tourism sector to make income, good income from their own states.
Well, actually, tourism is very important in today's context, because that bring actually people together. You know, it bring cultures together, right? And as I said, Sri Lanka and Indonesia has a lot of commonalities in culture, in religion, in food habits, everything. But now we need to bring people together. Yes. You know, many Sri Lankans does not know what are the beautiful things or important things in Indonesia. Right? They know Borobudur, but they don't know Borobudur is in Indonesia. And they think Bali is a separate country. Right? Similarly, Indonesians do not know much about Sri Lanka, because they you know, there are large number of Buddhists in Indonesia, and they think India, Nepal, Thailand are only the Buddhist countries. But Sri Lanka has great Buddhist stupas, Buddhist culture. Right? So we have been working very hard to promote tourism, and thank God it is now working. And actually, one group of Indonesian people went to Sri Lanka in August. The next group is going in March, and another group in May. But in between, there are small groups going to Sri Lanka, and we work with our national carrier Sri Lankan Airlines, and we link the tour operators to the Indonesian groups to go and explore Sri Lanka. And also we supported 2 web influencers, because nowadays everything is on social media. So these 2 web influencers, one is Alicia, one is Michael. Now they have uploaded their experience, they have uploaded their contents. Now people are becoming more and more aware of Sri Lanka, the potential of Sri Lanka as tourism. So we are working very hard and we are deriving results. We are very happy and proud of it.
Okay. Your Excellency, actually there are still many things that I wanted to discuss with you, but my producer already so give me a signal that we have to end this interview. But before that, I would like you to say something to our listeners of Voice of Indonesia around the world, and especially maybe the people of Sri Lanka in coinciding with the Sri Lanka's National Day.
Yeah,
Yes.
because we celebrated the 76th National Day or Independence Day of Sri Lanka yesterday, and we are a country which is reviving our economy, because our economy was not very good 2 years ago. And now in that endeavor, we have to work together. We need to mutual support from each other for us to develop and for us to engage with Indonesia more, for us to do more trade with Indonesia. Of course, there are large number of Sri Lankan companies in Indonesia invested heavily in garment sector, in logistics sector, finance sector, coconut production, palm oil production, cement mortar production, but vice versa is not very good. You know, that not many Indonesian investment in Sri Lanka. So we need to really work together and enhance direct investment mutually beneficial way. You know, when that happen, then we can think of a sustainable engagement between the 2 countries.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Hoping that, yes, there will be more and more cooperation, especially investment, people-to-people contact, B2B, business-to-business contact, and also government-to-government contact between Indonesia and Sri Lanka. Well, listeners and viewers of Voice of Indonesia, that was my very interesting, very pressful, fruitful conversation interview with His Excellency Jayanath Colombage, the Sri Lankan Ambassador to Indonesia. I'm Daulat Pane. Thank you for watching.
Voice of Indonesia.